I never thought my 2 a.m. breakdown would become a viral sensation. Until my best friend of 7 years decided to monetize my misery. My name is Tessa Blake, and I never intended to be a podcaster. In fact, if you had asked me a year ago, I would have laughed and said I hated the sound of my own voice. Back then, I was just trying to survive a painful breakup and rebuild my life quietly. Emphasis on quietly. The breakup had shattered me in ways I could not have imagined. 3 years with someone who made me believe I was not enough, not smart enough, not beautiful enough, not worthy enough. When he finally walked away, I felt like I was drowning in an ocean of self-doubt and heartbreak. I confided everything in one person. Harper, my best friend since freshman year of college. She was my 2 a.m. lifeline, my secrets keeper, my voice note vault. I sent her hours of voice messages, sometimes sobbing in my car after another sleepless night, sometimes ranting in my kitchen while eating ice cream at midnight, and sometimes just whispering things I had never dared say out loud. The voice notes became my therapy. In those raw, unfiltered moments, I poured out my soul to Harper. I talked about my deepest insecurities, my fears of never being loved, my struggle with self-worth. I shared intimate details about my relationship, my family trauma, my career anxieties. Everything that made me human, vulnerable, and real. Harper always replied with supportive messages like, "You are so raw and real. You should be a speaker or something." She would send back heart emojis and tell me how brave I was for sharing my truth. I trusted her completely. She was my safe space, my confidant, my sister from another mother. What I did not know was that she had been saving every single one of those voice notes. Every sob, every whisper, every moment of vulnerability I had shared in confidence. She was collecting my pain like trophies, storing my secrets like ammunition. The betrayal came like a sucker punch on a Tuesday morning that started like any other. I was scrolling through TikTok during my coffee break when I saw it. A random account had posted a soundbite, me, crying and saying in a voice cracked with emotion, "Sometimes I wonder if I was ever really loved, or if I was just convenient until something better came along." My blood turned to ice. The voice was unmistakable. Mine. My most vulnerable moment, my deepest fear, played for the entertainment of strangers. The video hit 1 million views overnight. The caption read, "When she still does not get why he left skull skull skull," followed by laughing emojis and cruel comments from thousands of people who did not know me but felt entitled to judge my pain. I watched in horror as people dissected my heartbreak, made memes out of my misery, and turned my tears into their entertainment. Some comments were supportive, but most were ruthless. "Girl, get some therapy. This is why he left. Imagine being this desperate." Each word felt like a knife twisting in my chest. The username behind the post was anonymous, but when I downloaded the audio file, I noticed something that made my heart sink. The file name contained Harper's initials, HM_Tessa Breakdown March 15.mp3. She had not only saved my voice note, but had labeled it with clinical precision. My hands were shaking as I called her. My voice was barely above a whisper when I asked, "Harper, did you post my voice note on TikTok?" There was a long pause. Then, a cold laugh that I had never heard from her before. "Which one?" she asked, as if she had posted multiple. "The one where I am crying about being loved," I said, my voice breaking. "Harper, how could you do this to me?" Her response was a shrug I could hear through the phone and a cruel smirk in her voice. "It is not like I tagged you. No one knows it is you unless you tell them." I was speechless. This was the person I had trusted with my deepest secrets, my most vulnerable moments. This was the friend who had held my hand through panic attacks, who had listened to me cry for hours, who had promised that my secrets were safe with her. But Harper, those were private. I trusted you. I shared those with you, because I thought you cared about me. "Oh please," she said with an irritation that shocked me. "You have been trauma dumping on me for months. At least now I am getting something out of it. The video has almost 2 million views. I might actually make some money from this." I hung up the phone and stared at the wall for what felt like hours. The betrayal cut deeper than any romantic heartbreak I had ever experienced. This was not just about my privacy being violated. It was about my trust being shattered by someone I had considered family. I spent 2 days in shock, replaying every conversation we had ever had, wondering if she had been planning this betrayal all along. I spent 2 weeks in fury, alternating between wanting to expose her and wanting to disappear from the world completely. I considered changing my name, moving to another city, starting over where no one knew about my viral breakdown. But then something shifted. Maybe it was the hundreds of messages I received from people who had seen the video and related to my pain. Maybe it was the realization that Harper had actually done me a favor by showing me her true colors. Or maybe it was just the stubborn part of me that refused to let her win. I decided to take back control of my narrative. If my voice was going to be out there, it would be on my terms. I spent 2 months planning, learning, and building something she could never take down. I researched podcasting, studied successful shows, and most importantly, I started listening to my own voice notes with new ears. What Harper had seen as weakness, I began to see as strength. What she had used as ammunition, I would use as armor. I launched a podcast called The Voicemail Diaries. The tagline was simple: an anonymous woman's journey through heartbreak, self-worth, trauma, and ultimately revenge. I chose to remain anonymous, not out of shame, but out of power. I wanted people to focus on the message, not the messenger. My first episode was bold. I started with the exact voice note that Harper had leaked, but this time, I owned it completely. I followed it with commentary, reflections, humor, and music. I analyzed my own pain with the wisdom I had gained through months of healing. I added context that Harper had stripped away, humanity that she had ignored. "This is me," I said in that first episode. At my lowest point, wondering if I was ever really loved. But here is what I want you to know about this moment. It was not pathetic. It was human. It was real. And it was mine to share, not someone else's to exploit. I talked about the betrayal, about Harper's actions, with just the tiniest bleep over her name. But if you listened carefully, you could still make it out. I was not trying to hide what she had done. I was trying to show the world what real friendship looked like by contrasting it with what she had shown me. Each week, I dropped another note from my vault, not as shame, but as storytelling. I took my rawest moments and transformed them into lessons, into hope, into connection. It was not messy anymore. It was magic. The show started small, but it grew quickly. People connected with the authenticity, the vulnerability, the way I could take pain and turn it into something beautiful. The comments were overwhelmingly positive. "This is the therapy I did not know I needed. You are helping me through my own breakup. Thank you for being so real." Within 3 months, we had crossed 1 million downloads. Spotify noticed and featured us on their new and noteworthy playlist. Apple Podcasts put us in their Shows We Love section. A producer from a women's media company reached out and said, "This feels like therapy for the whole internet. We want to help you take it to the next level." The show blew up beyond my wildest dreams. We hit #1 in the mental health category in 12 countries. I got invited to speak at storytelling conferences, women's empowerment events, and digital media panels. People wrote in saying the episodes had saved them from bad relationships, helped them recognize red flags, and given them the courage to leave toxic situations. The most incredible part was how the show evolved. What started as my personal healing journey became a platform for other women to share their stories. I began featuring guest voice notes from listeners who wanted to share their own experiences with betrayal, heartbreak, and healing. The show became a community, a safe space, a place where vulnerability was celebrated rather than exploited. But I never forgot what Harper had done. Every episode was partly for the women who were listening, but also partly for her. I knew she was out there, hearing her betrayal referenced in every show, watching me succeed using the very pain she had tried to profit from. Then came the cherry on top, an email that made me scream with joy in my apartment. The Voicemail Diaries had been nominated for Best Narrative Podcast 2025 at the Audio Content Awards. I had gone from viral victim to award-nominated creator in less than a year. The night of the award ceremony, I walked the red carpet in a blood-red dress that made me feel like a warrior. Reporters asked me about my journey, and I told them the truth. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. When they called my name as the winner, I walked to that stage with my head held high. My acceptance speech was short but powerful. Thank you to the woman who leaked my voice notes. You tried to silence me by exploiting my vulnerability. Instead, you helped me find my voice, and now, I use it for millions of people who need to hear that their pain matters, their stories matter, and their voices matter. The audience gave me a standing ovation. I looked out at the crowd and felt something I had not felt in years: pride. Not just in my success, but in my resilience, my ability to transform poison into medicine. After the ceremony, I went home and recorded a special episode. I talked about the awards night, about how far I had come, about the community we had built together. I ended with a message that I knew Harper would hear. To the person who thought they could profit from my pain: thank you. You taught me that some people will try to monetize your misery, but you also taught me that I have the power to take that misery and turn it into something meaningful. You thought you were taking my voice. Instead, you helped me find it. I have not spoken to Harper since that phone call over a year ago, but I know she is listening. I can see in my analytics that someone from her city downloads every episode within minutes of it being posted. She follows the show's social media accounts from a burner account that I recognize from the language patterns in the few comments she has left. She hears herself referenced in every episode one drop. She knows that her betrayal became the foundation of my success. She watches me thrive using the very vulnerability she tried to weaponize. And now she is the one who has been silenced, not by me but by her own actions. People in our old social circle know what she did. They have distanced themselves from her. She lost not just me, but several other friends who realized they could not trust someone who would betray a friend's deepest secrets for internet clout. The irony is perfect. She thought she was stealing my voice, but she actually helped me find it. She thought she was profiting from my pain, but she actually helped me turn that pain into purpose. She thought she was humiliating me, but she actually launched me into a career I never knew I wanted. As for me, I still record voice notes, but these days they are for the world, not just for one person. They come with an intro jingle that gives me chills every time I hear it. This is the Voicemail Diaries, because even whispers have power. The show has become my life's work. I have expanded it into a network of podcasts, focusing on different aspects of women's experiences. I have written a book deal based on the show. I have launched workshops teaching people how to turn their trauma into storytelling. I have created a scholarship fund for women who want to pursue careers in audio storytelling. But more than the professional success, I have found something I did not even know I was looking for. My authentic voice. Not the voice I used to please others, not the voice I used to minimize my own pain, but the voice that speaks truth, that demands respect, that refuses to be silenced. Every day, I get messages from women who tell me that my story gave them the courage to leave toxic relationships, to set boundaries with friends, to value their own privacy and trust. I get voice notes from listeners sharing their own stories of betrayal and healing. I get emails from therapists who recommend my show to their clients. The ripple effect of Harper's betrayal has been massive, but not in the way she intended. Instead of destroying me, it launched me. Instead of silencing me, it amplified my voice. Instead of profiting from my pain, she helped me turn that pain into a platform that helps millions of people. Sometimes late at night, when I am editing the next episode or responding to listener messages, I think about that scared, broken girl who sent hours of voice notes to someone she thought was her friend. I wish I could go back and tell her that her pain was not pathetic, that her vulnerability was not weakness, that her story was not something to be ashamed of. But I cannot go back. All I can do is move forward, using my voice to create the safe space I wish I had had during my darkest moments. All I can do is turn my whispers into roars, my secrets into stories, my pain into power. The Voicemail Diaries continues to grow, continues to heal, continues to inspire. And Harper? She is still out there, listening to every episode, watching me succeed, knowing that her betrayal became the foundation of my empire. In the end, she did not steal my voice. She helped me find it. And now millions of people around the world get to hear it every week. That is the power of taking back your narrative. That is the magic of turning your pain into purpose. That is what happens when you refuse to let someone else's betrayal define your story. My voice notes are no longer whispered in shame. They are broadcast with pride. They are shared with love. They are heard with respect. And that, my friends, is the sweetest revenge of all. If this story touched your heart or inspired you in any way, please consider subscribing to our channel.